Okay, welcome back. It is 5/25 of 2015. Andre Lacocque closed out his lecture on covenant with a theological summary, and Paul Ricoeur is going to close out his essay with a theological summary also, so I really like this. Now, Ricoeur is going to give us a theological summary on the theological meaning of the dialogue threshold. He calls the dialogue threshold the Theonomy-Threshold. Well, what is theonomy? It's theos and nomos, meaning a divine law. It's the threshold where the dialogue of the rabbinic interpretation takes place, and where divine law is formed as the interpretive divine law of the interpretation of command, of the imperative. It's the law with paragraphs. And that's formed in dialogue at the dialogue threshold. And so Ricoeur calls it the Theonomy-Threshold, the theos nomos threshold, where divine law is formulated. It's got three moments. The three moments are the singularity that we take to us when we enter the dialogue threshold, the alterity of realizing that we face a multitude of distinct, alternate voices at the dialogue threshold, and then mutuality, where we realize that we're all working toward a universality of interdependence and intersubjective truth, which will be arrived at through the education we receive through dialogue at this dialogue threshold as the theonomy threshold. The first moment of singularity, Ricoeur says there is inclusion without absorption. The first moment of the dialogue threshold includes the aspect of extension. Our initial intentionality is to enter into the circle of mutuality of recognition that expands and extends and opens itself to a diversity of individuals who want to participate in that dialogue threshold. It also includes intensity, and that is the fact that the unique offering of every distinct voice is recognized, and inclusiveness does not result in absorption. Everyone maintains their own individual contribution and uniqueness, and in fact it's necessary in order to contribute to a greater understanding. So the dialogue threshold becomes an exchange of roles. Otherness is a prerequisite for mutual recognition. Alterity is necessary. But there is the positing of that third-party universality workspace, and that third-party universality workspace is that commonality of intentionality that all voices at the dialogue threshold want to participate in. And that universality workspace is a bridge. It's the bridge which keeps the dialogue alive. It's the bridge that keeps things moving in the direction toward charity. The second moment of alterity speaks to this charity as a core circularity. There's a core circularity of love. It does three things. It guards against any excessive hubris or pride. It guards against any individual falling back into solitude and withdrawing from dialogue. And it inaugurates and sustains the exchange of the lively exchange of the signs of alterity. We are in the process of exchanging sign models and our own individual apprehension of signification concerning command and law. And so it's a threshold of shared signs. Now we all have the same goal. That's that universality workspace of reaching a mutuality of an intersubjective agreement on a theonomy, or the meaning of divine law. It will combine the following. It combines singularity as that third-party universality workspace as a bridge, and the alterity of that uniqueness centered in a circularity of love. That's what is combined, and that will reach an actualization of the theonomy, which will be a responsibility toward others, which is emphasized. It will be equal to a face-to-face gesture of substitution, which will create a good, solid, empathy-based intentionality. It will involve a self-interrogation. The call to responsibility is a recurring call that we continue to hear and internalize. There will be a limit point, but the limit point is the search for consensus. It is the critique and the criteria of that universality workspace. That is the limit point. It will be spontaneous because it will be a spontaneity that moves and speaks and listens out of the conscience of our motivational base of attestation. It's motivation-based. Now, theonomy is a theory, Ricoeur says. It is already existent in objective history, and through education at the dialogue threshold, it can be seen as positive law, as the presence of positive law, and not only prohibitions. There are three axioms. There is law only for free beings. There is no freedom without obligation, but obligation is a category-based obligation when it's free from restriction and is simply motivated by love. There is a critique of that test of universality or universalization. We evaluate our morality of intention. We negate any egoistic interest, and reason is prioritized over emotion. Emotion is involved because emotion speaks to that motivational base of attestation, but the motivational base of attestation provides emotive power to cognitive reasoning. Theonomy is self-sufficient because it takes up 5 aspects that are interrelated. The morality is a given concept. Every human being has a capacity to reason, and the persuasive power of the plane of conscience provides the motivational base of empowerment. And we all take up that internal positing of allowing for responsibility. And then finally, ethical meditation at the dialogue threshold will inaugurate that empowerment. This Logos discourse is also cosmic. We continually renew our willingness to enter dialogue. We continue to internalize that call to responsibility. Alterity always is going to be present, and it includes facing everything that is living in creation. It means facing all of creation. There's a cosmic dimension to redemption, and even aesthetics points to the beauty of creation itself that demands a reverence and demands to be taken up in the same activity of the theonomy of divine law. Even every aspect of creation must be included in that inclusiveness. So his final theological discussion and summary is to discuss the dialogue threshold where law building takes place. Law building within a circularity of charity, which is the conditioning and closure for all command and all prohibition. Because there's always that originary indicative space, the indicative space that the one who commands is the one who loves you. The one who speaks a prohibition is the one who first loves you without condition. But we do all approach that dialogue threshold with a singularity of our own take on the signs of significance concerning justice. But our singularity of justice needs to be complemented from different points of view, different perspectives, different individuals with different vocations, different educational backgrounds. We need a diversity of voices to take up the question of justice. What does it mean to hold up justice and define justice in our society today? And what does that mean when in conjunction with confronting it with the crucifixion and the resurrection of Christ? What does it mean to rewrite divine law at the dialogue threshold? It means we need to take up an alterity of a multitude of voices with a multitude of perspectives. But that alterity has a bridge, a huge reinforced bridge between every individual at that circular threshold, and that bridge is a workspace that we all share for writing a universality of divine law. And then that all becomes actualized in its own self-sufficient way, because language, divine language, is in and of itself sufficient to actualize itself. It does it primarily through the motivational base of human beings. So it is a language that speaks fundamentally to our psyche level, but the psyche level informs the cognitive level. They are typically related. Our gnosis and our Sophia wisdom of the psyche are both intermutually related. So Ricoeur gives us a great final theological summary, and I think it's just great that André Lacocque gave us a theological summary to his essay on covenant, and Ricoeur followed suit. We've progressed along, you see in the book, up to page 141 now. That's pretty good. We are going to move into a new topic now, because this wraps up the covenant of law. We've gone through creation. We've gone through covenant of law. A third topic will be taken up beginning at 142 next time.